The fourth round of the 2012 GP4 Offline Championship returns to Bahrain for the Bahrain Grand Prix at the Bahrain International Circuit. I am your host George Roke and welcome to the fourth round of the season. Last time out at China, the race winner was Evan Byrne, and deservedly so. He also got Driver of the Day, with the race racing being a 5.83 out of 10. So we return here to Bahrain after a year out due to the problems that happened at Bahrain in 2011, but the problems are all sorted out, and we are back here on the current Bahrain layout, not the one that was used back in 2010. Even though personally a track that many people dislike, the endurance layout, was actually a good race in the end in 2010. But anyway, we are back on the original layout, which started back in 2004. So this should be an interesting race. The lap record set by Nicholas Gao back in 2009. Those cars were pretty fast. Now I imagine the lap record probably would have been quicker if they were in here in 2011, as the cars certainly last season were pretty quick too. But the grid, so Joseph Willis took a very surprising pole position for Ferrari, with Viggo Holst in second place, and no one expected that to come at all. Evan Byrne in third place, followed by Jamie Mackenzie fourth, with George Roke and Rifki Harkresane on row 3. On row 4 of the grid, we have Nicholas Gao and Florian Volker, and as we move further down the grid, we have Robert Inescu and Waze Kuba in the other Ferrari in 10th, a bit lower down than Willers, but as I said, no one expected Willers to come top of qualifying. And as we move on to the 6th row of the grid, we have Franco Gamba and Armand Carr. On to the 7th row, we have Kirosama De Rosa and Alex Southgate. Not a great qualifying by Mercedes, really, so far, as in 15th place is Southgate's teammate, Felix Sonntag, followed by Adam Wolff alongside him. And as we move further down the field, on to the 9th row of the grid, I should say, is Roman Quagg and Sam Thompson for Toro Rosso. On the 10th row, we have Aurelio Moitian and Zachary Fitzwater, Aurelio Moitian for Williams and Zachary Fitzwater for Marussia, respectively. And on the last row of the grid, we have Oliver Glazebrook for Caterham and Sean Grant for Marussia on row 12. On row 11, I should say. My maths is not good today. Anyway, let's move on to the weather, and no surprise there. No rain or whatsoever. I mean, I don't know if there has ever been any rain in Bahrain in its history, really. But in any Grand Prix so far, no rain, and that continues to be the case. So this should be an interesting race, for sure. It'd be nice to go back to Bahrain. It's a track that I personally do enjoy, and a number of drivers do enjoy themselves. But anyway, we are now on the grid for the Grand Prix. The 5 lights are about to come on. We have the old starting light system back for the first time in ages. The 5 lights are now on, and we're underway for the Bahrain Grand Prix. And who's going to jump into turn 1? It looks like Willis has got the best start, and Viggo Holst has not made a good start at all, as Evan Byrne's moved into second place. He's going to try and overtake Kuba into turn 1, and as he tries to make it, has he done it? Oh, and there's a McLaren around, and Rifki Harkresane has got a broken wing, and Mackenzie's gone around the outside of Willows and has taken the lead. So something happened at turn 1. And because Rifki Harkresane has lost his front wing, I think he might have tried an overtake. I don't know what's going on, but as Roke trying to defend from Holst, who's dropped all the way down to 7th place, Kuba's there, and there was contact between Holst and Roke, and Byrne has lost his front wing as well. So we need to see the start again to see what happened. So let's go on board with Rifki Harkresane, because I think he was the one who started all this. He got a pretty decent start, to be fair. He moved up past 2 runners. He made actually a very good start indeed. Holst made an awful one. And as they went into turn 1, and Harkresane tried kind of a bit of a dive bomb there into turn 1. Wasn't really going to work, going 3 wide there. And he lost his front wing, and Kuba made the move around the outside, but Mackenzie went around the outside of him to take the lead. Let's have a look at that again. Evan Byrne was on the inside of Willis and was set to take the lead, but he was not expecting a salvage to come out of absolutely nowhere. And he actually made contact, Byrne, with the Red Bull there of, I think that was Nicholas Gao. And Robert Inescu's made a great start as well. And Byrne, unfortunately, came out right in the path of George Roke there. And let's go on board with Holst, who made a pretty awful start. So he made originally an okay getaway, but he got beaten by Byrne, and then he just seemed to back off and just let, like was saying, the Red Bull and the 2 Salvas and everyone just go past him. And as we go into turn 1, you can see what happened, and then Byrne rejoins right in front of the Red Bull there. And my goodness me, what a start we've had to this race already. Welcome back. Oh, and hang on, Southgate's lost his rear wing. He's been hit by someone. And who was it? It was the Williams there of Adam Wolff, who's gone into the back of him there. And so Southgate going to have to go in the pit. You can see he just didn't slow down enough and went into the back as they all concertinated up into turn 1, into the hairpin. But that is Adam Wolf and Alex Southgate's race is kind of over and done with. No, I don't think they'll get any points unless we have any more retirements. But we'll see what happens. Rumble with Kuba. It was in fact Willows up front, not Kuba, so I don't know why I was saying that. But Hulk's tried to move on the inside of Roke there, and there was a bit of contact. And Roke was actually being overtaken by Hulk coming around the corner. And I don't know if he got past as Ricky Farquharson comes through there with no front wing. But Robbie Inescu's made a fantastic start. He's moved up into P4. He's benefited from all of that. And as we go look further down the field, Roxon in 6th, Holst in 6th, Waze Cooper in 7th, Carr in 8th, Roke's dropped all the way down to 9th. He got shoved out there as Franco Gamma's being overtaken as they head towards the support pit straight. And as the Southgate gets overtaken by the number of cars going past him here, as there goes Roland Moyton, and then there goes Fitzwater. And I imagine that is, and Oliver Glazebrook just make his way as they go past the support pit straight. But Jay McKenzie's got a big lead at the moment because partly the fact that Willows has got a heavy fuel load here. 33 laps, so they're going to go for the one-stop Ferrari clearly. But obviously McKenzie is not going to be doing that, as now he's under pressure from Gal behind him as they come into the hairpin, as they come into the last corner, I should say. And Gal's going to make the move for 2nd place, and he does so indeed. As now Waze Cooper makes a move on Holst for P5, coming into the final corner, and he makes it stick. And there was a move by, I think, Roke trying to get past Omar Carr, and he has done so. And now Volker's going to get past Carr, coming down the front straight. And it's going to be side by side between Volker and Carr as they head towards turn 1. But I don't think Volker's got the power, the straight line speed, and there's a bit of contact back there between, I think that was Evan Byrne, and he's missed the pit entry, and he's just run into the wall. And that is Evan Byrne's race finished there, coming down the pit straight. And I saw there was a bit of contact with him, and I think that was a Marussia in the background. And unfortunately for Byrne, after a win last time out at China, he's going to get absolutely nothing here. So he was on the outside, he was on a bad position. Then Grant tried to overtake him, Byrne tried to get into the pits, but actually lifted Grant into the air there. And Evan Byrne, I mean, he completely missed the pit entry there. Should have maybe backed off to let Grant through instead of trying to go into the pits, but he obviously didn't use his mirrors there. It just went right into the side of him. Grant was lucky not to lose a wheel out of that. But Byrne completely missed the pit entry there, and that is his race over. Not what he would have wanted. And unfortunately for Evan Byrne, who looked set to take the lead into turn 1, he is now out of this race. It becomes, I believe, the first retirement of the Grand Prix as well. And that's very unfortunate there for Byrne, who won the last race last time out in China. But those memories will be eradicated, and he is out of the Grand Prix as the rest of the cars that are involved in the lap 1 fracas come into the pits. That's not what Evan Byrne wanted whatsoever. And as we look at the cars coming through, there's Oliver Glazebrook coming through. There's Sontag, who's in 14th, not made a particularly great start out of all these cars that were affected in that first corner incident, as cars still defending from Volker, so Volker didn't actually get past down the front straight. But McKenzie, who's got a light fuel load, and Gal, as I was just about to say, has got an even lighter fuel load, nearly makes a mistake, and he does make a mistake, I should say, coming into the out onto the support pit straight. And fortunately, he didn't lose any positions. He almost lost a position there to Joseph Willows, but he got away with it just about, went a bit too wide onto the sand and keeps 2nd place. But now he'll lose ground to McKenzie up front. As we look at Miko Scal coming through the fast middle section of the lap, the right, left and right, as he comes into the right-hander before the support pit straight. As we look at the order, so at the moment is McKenzie first, Gal 2nd, Willows in 3rd, Ionescu 4th, Cooper in 5th, and Gamba's gone wide, and he's come back on the track, and he's been hit by the caterham of, I believe that is Roman Quag. And Franco Gamba, well, you can't call it a nightmare season. His season, unfortunately, first season in the OC hasn't got off to a great start. In the last couple of races, he got points in Australia, but he missed out in Malaysia after his car suffered a reliability problem. He missed out in China and finished on last in China. But at this moment in time, he's not going to get any points as he was coming, just went way too wide and went out right in front of the track, and unfortunately then got hit behind by Roman Quag. So Quag will have to pit, and so will Gamba to fix that damage there. Not what either of those two would have wanted. Quag, who'd moved up to 12th after all of that first lap chaos, probably didn't expect the Toro Rosso just to come right in his line of sight there, and pretty much had absolutely nowhere to go. And then Gamba, who spins off, he'll be dead last as he'll have to trek back to the pits to get that car repaired. As we look once again, we'll have a look at the replay. So he's running in 11th. He's running behind De Rossa. Probably the dirty air is probably what unsettled him. and goes off there onto the sand. And he has Felix Sontag just sneak. Actually, no, he doesn't sneak through. He actually got held up there by Quag coming into the right-hander. And Gamba, who is going to be stoned at last as Moichin now moves. An old car goes a bit wide, coming down into the final corner there. So I think Volker's actually now got past him, and now De Rossa got past him as well. As we now have another yellow flag out somewhere, so something else has happened. But let's go on board with Volker first of all, who made his move finally on Armar Car. He lost a lot of time to George Roke in front of him, and he finally made the move coming into the final corner. It was quite aggressive, but no contact made, so there's no harm done really. Car's still in the race, although he's lost a position to his teammate De Rossa. And something else happened at the final corner, because there was a yellow flag out. So something happened. Oh, it was who was that? It was Sean Grant and Oliver Glazebrook who actually who seemed to have collided in the final corners. Let's have a look. Glazebrook was making a move on the inside, and Grant, I suppose, came out right in front of him, and he so nearly took out the Toro Rosso there of Sam Thompson. That was incredibly close. And so Thompson is still in the race. Glazebrook rejoins in 16th, and Grant rejoins now in 17th. As we now look at Gal, who is actually caught up to Mackenzie up front, although he does have a slightly lighter fuel load than Mackenzie does, and he makes the move on the inside into the final corner, and he takes the lead of the Grand Prix. So looks like it's looking pretty good for Gal and Mackenzie at the moment, who are so far clear of Willows. Has got a huge fuel load. I don't know if the one stop's really going to work out here. I'm not sure. And there's two cars out. That's Robbie Ionescu's out, and that's George Roke as well. And unfortunately, these two have collided once again, and that is at the final corner. So what has happened here? So Ionescu, who is running, I believe, in P5, I think he was. And he and Roke are now out of this race, and they've made another collision. Once again, they collided with each other, or I should say, Ionescu went into Roke after Roke did a really dangerous rejoin in Australia, which took Ionescu out of the race. And wow, oh wow, these two collided again. So let's have a look what happened. So Ionescu was running in P5, and so Roke was right behind him. He'd caught up to him. He had a relatively light fuel load. And he was moving on the inside. Roke, I suppose he was on the inside. Ionescu was squeezing him a bit there. And, I mean, I think that contact was pretty inevitable there, unfortunately. I don't really think you could probably blame any driver for that. Maybe Ionescu did squeeze him a little bit before he tried to overtake. But I don't think, in particular, there's a driver to blame for that 100%. So, but unfortunately for Ionescu, that is his third retirement in 4 races. He finished 9th the last time out at China, just missed out on the points, having started near the back of the grid. It's just not been his season so far. As we now look at Mikhail Skau making his first pit stop of the race. It's quite early on here, so I reckon probably they'll do a 3-stop Red Bull. I wouldn't be surprised, as obviously these stops are a lot quicker this season than they were before. 5.4 for Gal, and it's 20 laps, so actually, I mean, 20 laps, that's about like 30. I mean, it's going to be tight. I think Gal probably will still do a 3-stop, though. I reckon he will, probably just to be sure. As now we look at, I believe this is Waze Kuba, who's closed up right behind Joseph Willows, but he now won't overtake him as he goes into the pits for his first stop of the race. And let's see where he comes out on the track. Kuba, who's not had, well, Ferrari themselves haven't really had a very good start of the season at all. Willows has yet to score a point so far, and they had a very, very disappointing performance last time out at China. Neither driver scoring any points at all. I think Kuba came like 11th, and Willows came, I think, 14th, 13th, something like that. But it was a pretty poor race from Ferrari standards. They've really just not been on it this season. It's been mainly between McLaren and Red Bull, and it looks like it will be for the title. As we look at Kuba, I believe this is overtaking Car, coming into the final corner, and he makes it stick comfortably there. Now chase after Car's teammate De Rossa, just going down the straight in front of you there. As we look at Kuba, we're now on to lap 13. We've had quite a lot of action, as now the two Red Bulls are now battling each other. Let's hope they don't collide here. As we now look, as Jamie Kedge is now coming into the pit, as now will there be any? Oh, so nearly contact. Gal making a move on the inside of Volker there. Mackenzie comes in for his first stop of the race. It's a 5.7 second stop, so obviously Gal will come out comfortably in front, as now Gal is going to try and overtake Volker coming into turn 1. Volker shouldn't really put up too much of a fight. And Gal, has he made it stick? And yes, he has. And now he'll have Volker to back him up when Mackenzie, well, if he does, that is, close up on him, as Mackenzie comes out quite far behind. So the early pit stop for Gal clearly has worked at the moment. So I imagine both these guys will probably be on 3 stops, I reckon. And there's a Force India that's round, and that is De Rossa. and that is coming out of the left-hander just after the pit exit of the support pits. So what has happened there? And De Rossi and it was De Rossi and Kuba that were battling. Kuba trying to make a move on the inside for P7, and was there any contact? No, there wasn't. Kuba, De Rossi just went wide onto the sand, and unfortunately just brought him on there, and he just lost the car. Just no grip out there whatsoever, and the car's having to slow down behind to ensure that there's no contact. As we look at Alex Southgate, who's right behind Franco Gamba coming onto the oh, well, that's the reason why, because Gamba was making a move on Sean Grant in front of him, and Grant kind of forced him to the outside. And was there contact between the two? And yes, there was, and Gamba pushed him a bit wide there, and Gamba did eventually make the pass on Grant, and so did Southgate as well. He made it past him, and I imagine Southgate's going to trying to is he going to try and make a move on Gamma into turn 1? He is quite far back, but will he try and make it? But he now does defend Gamma, but he's not going to make it stick, Southgate. Now oh no, and there was contact there. I was not expecting that. And Southgate, is he going to make the move stick now? And the answer is yes, he does. That was quite aggressive there from Southgate on Gamba. So what happened there? So he seemed so far back, did Southgate. The move didn't really seem on, but he did go for it. But Gamba then moved a bit in front of him. Fortunately, they didn't lose any debris, any rear or front wings. And Southgate makes the move stick, and now Gamba's under pressure from Grant, going into the right hand, coming into turn 4. Is Grant going to make the move stick? He's side by side, and no, he can't quite do it. As now we're looking at Gal, who's making his move past Viggo Holst in the McLaren. As now Mackenzie's making his way past Volker, so he's already closed up to Volker quite significantly. And Mackenzie tries to make the move, and no, he can't quite do it. Is he alongside him? I think he is. And now Gal will be alongside Holst as they come down the front straight. So the two Red Bulls being overtaken. But Mackenzie backs in. He can't quite, doesn't have enough straight line speed. So is he going to try and make another move into the hairpin? Don't think so, as Gal makes his move on Holst for P2. Willow's leading this race at the moment, but he still has got another 10 laps or so before he makes his first pit stop of the Grand Prix. He's doing a one-stopper. As now we're looking at, it looks like, is this Mackenzie on the back of Florian Volker, who still hasn't made the move stick. And Volker defends. Is Mackenzie going to try and make a move on him? And not quite, and he locks up Volker and he goes wide, and Mackenzie makes the move stick, and that has made it a whole lot easier for Mackenzie than Volker wanted it to be, but he's held him up for quite a few laps now, so that's good news at least for Gal. But unfortunately Volker's made a bit of a mistake there trying to defend, and goes a bit wide onto the sand. Fortunately he does actually got quite a good save not to lose the car coming out of that turn. And fortunately no contact was made, so it's looking good for Mackenzie at the moment. I'm not sure if he'll necessarily get P1. It's going to be a battle between him and Gal by the looks of it for the race win. At the moment I don't think Holst has actually made a pit stop yet, as far as I can remember, unless my memory is bad, which it already is, I know. As now Ricky Park makes a move on Quark, or no he doesn't, and he makes contact and spins, and he comes out right in front of swipes right in front of there was contact also with the other Lotus of Glazebrook, as Sontag was making a move on him at the final corner. And so two incidents happening to both Lotuses in the same lap, and Sontag was there and there was contact, and I was lucky that no damage was done there. And Sontag makes his move quite forcefully on Oliver Glazebrook, to say the least. And unfortunately for the other Lotus of Quag, he got involved with Farquharson, and he's managed to, I suppose he's still running, but he's being overtaken by Southgate, who does make the move into the final corner. As now here we are looking at the Red Bull of Miklos Gau, who's already caught up to Josie Willis, who's leading, but he will be overtaken as he's currently on the one stop, and his tyres, I imagine, probably are wearing out quite significantly, as he's now being overtaken by Gal coming into the first turn, and move is complete, and he's done it. He's into P1 for the moment, but we'll need to see what Willow's pace is like, as he's still got around 15 laps to go, as Holst is defending from Mackenzie for P3 at the moment, and Holst has got another 20 laps, so I don't believe I can't remember actually if he has many on the stop, but Holst is really defending from Mackenzie. Oh, and there's contact, and Mackenzie's around. And that could be pivotal in the race, as Volker makes his way through. That could have just handed the initiative there to Miklos Gau, as Mackenzie trying to make the move on Holst. coming into turn 4, and there was contact there. Hulse really didn't want him to go past. Hulse, I can't remember if he's actually made a stop or not. I mean, my memory's pretty bad, so he might have done. But I mean, Mackenzie was on the inside, and unfortunately, even though Mackenzie turned all the way, contact there was really inevitable. Hulse managed to get away with it pretty lightly, to be honest. So I'll have another look at it. Hulse tried to force him out, a bit like what Nico Rosberg did in real life 2011 when he pushed Alonso off the track. And Hulse went right up into the air there. That was quite a significant air time there. He was lucky not to lose any, any debris, I should say, wheels, wings, anything like that. As now we're looking at Felix Sonntag now battling with Sam Thompson. He's forcing Sonntag out quite a bit. Going in the final corner, there's going to be contact, isn't there? No, there wasn't. And Sonntag makes his move on Thompson, like he did with Oliver Glazebrook, except without contact this time. So I'll have a look at that again as Sonntag was making a move on the inside. Thompson forced him out, and once Sonntag was on the inside, there was pretty much, well, nowhere for Thompson to go there. As he scored, obviously, his first point since 2010, as he did not score any points in 2011, Thompson, and some will still say he was lucky to get the seat, as now we look, and I believe this is Roland Moitin who's making a move on car 4. The 7th spot, car who I don't believe has made a stop yet. I don't think he has, at least. As we look at Sonntag, who's now right behind him. A lap later, we skip to a lap later. His car goes a bit wide there, coming around the penultimate corner. And that's going to give Sonntag the initiative and give him a chance to attack him into the final corner. And will he make the move stick? And the answer is... And does he do it? And yes, he does. As car goes wide once again. As car drops a pretty... bit of time behind, a lot of time behind. I can't even get my words out, jeez. As now Miguel Escal comes in for his second stop, and I imagine this will not be his last. And let's see if he, let's see what his fuel is like first of all. Will they fuel him to the end? Probably not, and they don't. As you can see, 16 more laps of fuel, so they're doing the 3-stop. I imagine soon is when Joseph Willows, in probably a few laps' time, will be making his first pit stop of the race, as Mikael Escal there at the moment comes out, I think, in a net 4th place, as Mackenzie now comes in for his second stop, and this won't be his last. Exactly the same amount of fuel as Gal has, so it'll be interesting to see the pace of these two now they've made their second stop. I'd say we're probably just about nearly half, or we're basically at halfway, I think, at this race on lap 28 out of 57, as there's Volker who comes out ahead of Mackenzie, who he won't want to see the back of, but he'll have a few laps to catch up anyway, but he'll have a chance to really show his pace, as he's now in completely clear air. So now here we are looking at Zachary Fitzwater for Marussia, making a move on De Rossa coming into the final corner. There was almost contact there as De Rossa goes a little bit wide. And is Zachary Fitzwater now going to make a move? It's going to be quite close. It's side by side, but the Force India I think is just about edging ahead, and he is. So will Fitzwater back in and then try and get the slipstream and make a move into the first corner? He tries, but De Rossa defends quite well, and he keeps 13th place, as he'll now have a chance going round into turn 4. He's got the slipstream, and he's gonna, as he goes into second gear, he uses the curves. Is he gonna make the move on the inside? No, there was contact, and Fitzwater goes around. De Rossa goes wide, and you can just see that was really gonna happen there. Unfortunately, it was almost inevitable, but it unfortunately has now happened. As we look, so Fitzwater was looking on the inside, and De Rossa came a bit in front of him, and Fitzwater didn't really have anywhere to go, but he spins around, and that is going to cost him some time indeed, as Franco Gambra is now going to close up on these two in front, as he comes into the fast right and left section. As we now look at Waze Kuba, who's coming in for his second stop of the day, and will he go to the end? Will be interesting to see. And let's see what the team put into his car. Will he go to the end? I imagine he probably won't, or will he? Nope, he does indeed. He will make a third stop. He's on a 3-stop strategy. As he comes out of the pit to 7.3, that's quite slow actually by Ferrari standards. Usually they're one of the quickest teams on the grid for pit stops. But anyway, Kuba comes out in P6. Joseph Willows finally on lap 32 of the race comes in for his one and only stop. And let's see where he comes out on the track. And so let's check the fuel. Yep, 28 laps. That is more than enough. Well, actually, it's actually only just enough, I think, actually, for to go to the end. But anyway, he will go to the end of the race. So let's see how the pace of Willows is going to work out on this set of tyres. As we look at the battle for the lead between Viggo Holst and Miguelos Gal, as Gal makes the move into the final corner. Is he going to make it stick? No, he doesn't. It doesn't quite do it. It's still side by side between the two as they come down the straight. McLaren versus Red Bull, and Gal has to back in. He just hasn't got the speed of the McLaren, but now he's going to have the slipstream, so surely he's going to make a move into the first corner. He's a bit behind though, so he's not going to quite make it, and there's a Force India just coming out of the pits at exactly the wrong time, and he comes out in front of Gal there, and Holst has a chance to get away here. That is exactly what he didn't want there, Gal. As Holst comes in for his final stop of the race, he'll make it through to the end, fuel to around lap 60, so he can burn off the fuel. As a 6.9 second stop, a bit slow there from McLaren, but he comes out. Will he come actually ahead of Volk? Will be interesting to see, and the answer is, I believe he did. So now here we are looking at Miguelos Gal, the race leader, as he comes in for his final stop of the Grand Prix. He's got a 7.8 second gap ahead of Mackenzie, so he's really stretched the gap ahead of Mackenzie. So the pace from the Red Bull is clearly shown. So at the moment he is looking the favourite to win, unless Willows has great pace on his one stop. I'm not sure he will. Mackenzie actually does come in on the same lap for his final stop of the race. So let's see where Gal comes out. He comes out second behind Willows. So Willows at the moment is leading the Grand Prix. But I imagine Gal on this strategy will probably reel him in. He's not that far ahead, as Gal crucially does come out in front of Holst, who doesn't have to go to the end. So it could be a three-way battle. We could actually have a really good battle for the win here. So the end of this race has just got a little bit more interesting. As now we look at Franco Gamma attacking Roman Quag as they head into the final corner. Is he going to make it stick? The answer is no, he is not. As Quag goes a little bit wide, and Gamba is now going to make his way on the inside. It's side by side, and surely Gamba now has the move done. Side by side as they come down the front straight. We're now on lap 44 of this race. Gamba's on the inside, and he should have it done into turn 1. He's got nearly the whole car past him. He comes out actually just in front of Quag there, nearly a bit of contact, but fortunately not. As now here we are looking at Miguelos Gal, who is already caught up in, I think just 6 laps it's taken him to catch up with Willows, and I suspected he would. And as Willows, he's got some traffic ahead of him, which won't help. But at the moment, Miguelos Gal is about to overtake Willows for the lead of this race. The one stop, it looked like a decent gamble from Ferrari, and it did work, but unfortunately the pace just isn't there in that Ferrari as he defends it for the moment, but he goes a bit wide coming out of the final corner, and Miguelos Gal, he won't quite make it stick as the Lotus there, I believe that was a Quag, now goes into the pits, and now Gal is going to make his move as Holst is actually very close behind him as they head into the first corner, and Gal is going to make the move for the race, and he does. He takes the lead of the Grand Prix. Joseph Willows, the one stop. It looked like a good strategy from Ferrari, and it did work, but the pace just isn't there in the Ferraris we've seen this season. And now already Holst is getting ready to attack him, coming into turn 4, and he can't quite make the move stick, but I imagine it will not be long until he does. There's another yellow flag out, and there's a Mercedes around, and that is Alex Southgate, who's had a pretty torrid race, to say the least. He's dropped all the way down to 16th position, and he will not be scoring any points this race. He was trying to attack Zachary Fitzwater for P13 as they come into the final corner. You can see there was just a bit. You could just see, unfortunately, that was just going to happen, and Fitzwater got lifted up in the air there. Lucky that he didn't suffer any problems, or he didn't have any. He doesn't have any problems with the car. As there is actually Gal, who just overtakes him, and now Holst is actually going to overtake Willows for P2, and he's now done it, and Willows can attack him going back into the first corner. It's side by side, and Willows is just about hanging alongside Holst as they head towards turn 1, but Holst has got the inside line, so surely he should have this move done and dusted, and oh wait, no, he doesn't. It still looked like Holst had backed off there, but Willows, is he going to keep it? And Holst goes around the outside, and he's done it. And he's dropped now all the way down to P3. Unfortunately for Willows, this race, he was leading, but it's just not going well for him now. And he's on these tyres, but the rest of the race, there's nothing he can really do about it. And now he's going to have Florian Volker attack him for P3. The podium is going to go fast, it looks like, for Willows. As Volker makes a move, he's trying to attack him coming into the final corner, and Willows, he locks up a bit, and Volker makes the move stick, but Volker did go a little bit wide. He locked up there, and Willows is now going to have a chance to attack him back as they come down the front straight. Willows is on the inside. Is he going to make it stick on Volker? Is he going to try and take it back as Jay Mackenzie is lying there waiting in the distance for these two to squabble over each other, and then Mackenzie might try and grab a podium, but Willers keeps it for the moment. But Volker is still right behind him as Willers got a bad run out of turn 3, and he's now on the inside. And is Volker going to make the move? It's just alongside. Willers is really squeezing him out, and it's still side by side as they head towards turn 5. And as they head towards 5, and then as they come into 6, it's still side by side, and Mackenzie's closing up on these guys. Volker's still on the inside, but Willers is holding it out there, and now Mackenzie's right there involved in it. And Willers, is he going to keep the position? He is, and Mackenzie's might take it as well if he's not careful. And Willers is still keeping it. What a battle this is for 3rd place. Mackenzie's now right behind, lying in waiting. As Volker comes onto the support pit straight, will he try and make a move on Willers? Coming into, or coming out of the end of the support pit straight, I should say. He's got the slipstream. Is he going to be close enough? And the answer is, I don't think he is. Not quite close enough, but I'll have the back straight to make his move. He's right behind him, but Mackenzie is lying there and waiting to take both of these two if they fall over each other as they head towards the penultimate corner. Volker is right behind. He just needs to bide his time. Well, he can't really bide his time, actually, come to think of it, because he's still got Mackenzie behind him. So he needs to get this move done now if he wants the podium. And he's now on the inside. Willers forcing him out once again as they come into the final corner. Volker's on the inside. There was almost contact, and Volker goes wide. And Mackenzie has now taken 4th place. And that is going to cost Volker really dearly. He's been after Willers for the last lap or so. And he is unfortunately... that has unfortunately cost him possibly a chance at the podium. But let's go back right to where this started, just a lap ago. Great battle between these two over the whole lap, with Mackenzie then taking advantage. So Volker tried to move into the final corner, and he looked like he'd done it, but he went a bit too wide. He outbraked himself slightly and gave Willers enough of a run to take him back coming into the first corner. And Mackenzie, who also managed to catch up with this as well, as you can see, is side by side, and Willers was on the inside, and he looked like he'd done the move into turn 1, and Mackenzie was there in the distance just watching these two battle, and Willers had made the move stick. He'd done it, and then he just went a little bit wide. He went a bit wide, and he just didn't get a very good run out of turn 2 and 3, and then Volker was now right behind him. He had the speed. He had a better run off the corner, and Volker tried it on the inside. It looked like they somehow managed to avoid contact there, actually, come to think of it. I don't know how they did so, but they managed to avoid contact, and it was still side by side as they came to turn 5, 6, and 7, but they were just holding each other up, and it was falling right into Mackenzie's grass, and it was still side by side, and Mackenzie was right behind Willers because they were going so slow, as I imagined. Willers is on, well, certainly Volker's and Mackenzie are both on the fresher tyres. Willers is on old tyres, trying to get them to the end, and we skip to the final corner, and Volker tried to make the move on Willers coming into the final corner, and he just went onto the curb, actually, and that unsettled the car, and that allowed Mackenzie through. As we now skip to a lap later, Mackenzie is now right behind Willers, and will he try and make the move that Volker failed to do, as he makes his move on the inside, as he's about to make the move on the inside, and he now does make it on the inside. Is he going to make it stick? No, he's not quite close enough. Willers defends already. Mackenzie now goes on the inside. Surely, is he going to have it done? There's almost contact, and they're very, very close coming around the final corner, and Volker could catch up here if they're not careful. Mackenzie can't quite make it stick here, but he's now got the front straight to do so, and he's now on the inside coming into the first corner, and surely he's gonna have it done. And the answer is he is, and Mackenzie takes the podium. He takes P3, and now he's got to hope that Willers holds up Volker enough that he can take another podium for Lotus. Last time out taken out by George Roque in China, he took one at the race before that in Malaysia. And let's see if they can take another podium here. A 3rd consecutive podium for Lotus. Holst is very far in front. I don't imagine that Mackenzie is going to be able to catch up to him. But now Volker is making a move on Willers for P4 to try and attack Mackenzie for P3. As they now come into the final corner, there's nearly contact. They're still side by side. They're still attacking each other. It's still going on between these two. Mackenzie's got away from this, and Willers is still holding him up. But surely, has Volker done it? No, he's not. He's just not got the straight line speed to get past the Ferrari. I mean, their downforce-wise, the car is probably the best on the grid, but straight line speed is certainly not their strong point. As now, surely he's going to try and make another move. Is he going to try and make it into turn 4? Is he got the slipstream? I think he has. He's closing up on him, but he's not going to be close enough, I don't believe. But Willers does defend. That's going to put him a little bit at ease coming into the turn 5 to 7. But surely Willers just needs to keep his calm at the moment. But I don't think he'll be able to hold it for much longer, as he's now right behind him as they now come into turn 8. as they're about to come past the support pit straight into turn 9. And as he's right behind him, as he's not going to surely make it into turn 9 and now into turn 10. They come onto the support pit straight. Will Volker now try and make a move coming down into turn 11 past the support pit with the crowd there cheering them on, hoping that something happens, that these two fall over each other. As now Volker is right behind, and now he's going to make the move at the penultimate corner, well, not at the penultimate corner, I should say, at the final corner, unless Willers makes a mistake. But no, he doesn't. He's right behind him, but Willers goes a little bit wide. Volker gets a much better run, and surely Volker's going to make the move stick coming into the final corner. We only have 4 laps left of this race remaining, as Volker now makes a move on the inside coming into the final corner, and there's contact, and Willers is out of the race, and that has ended Volker's podium chance, and that has gifted Mackenzie the podium, and Joseph Willers is out of the Grand Prix. His first points finish of the season has gone up in smoke. And oh dear me, and the strategy by Ferrari, it was a good idea by Ferrari, but unfortunately they didn't. One little thing they forgot about was the pace of their car is just horrendous. It's not good at all. As now Kuba is now going to move up into P4 for Ferrari, so he'll take some decent points at least for Ferrari. As we look at the order, so at this moment in time, Renault Mortensen running in 8th place. So actually, I believe Oliver Glazebrook for Lotus might actually get into the points here. As now we'll have another look at what happened between Volker and Willows, and you can see that was just unfortunately inevitable to happen. Volker getting a bit too impatient, being held up by Willows, and as you can see there, you could just see that was going to happen, and there's just no room really between the two. And unfortunately for Joseph Willows, his nightmare start the season continues. No points in 4 races for Ferrari. They were really expecting something good this year, but it has just not happened. And Volker was on the inside, and you could just tell as soon as came into the final corner that was just going to happen. It's just really, really inevitable. And unfortunately, that's unlucky there for both those two. As Joseph Willers, unfortunately, out of the race. It's just not been his season at all. As Volker has dropped down to 5th. I don't think he'll drop down any more places, but he dropped down to 5th behind Waze Kuba, Joseph Willers' teammate. So at least he'll score some decent points for Ferrari. But for Volker, it means there will be no podium for him. But I believe he'll still keep the championship lead. He'll score points in every race so far. As he rejoined out onto the track. As the yellow flag obviously still out for Willows as they're removing his cars. Kuba now goes past. As we now look at Volker, who rejoins in for P5. As we now look, and I believe this is Alex Southgate, who is right behind De Rosa. As we look, and you can see Oliver Glazebrook is in 8th place at this moment in time, and Ricky Parkerson is not too far away. But Oliver Glazebrook could take his first ever points in the F1 OC in the first one season for Caterham. That would be fantastic news for the team. Give them a much needed bonus of money. As now here's Viggo Holst now trying to overtake both Carr and Southgate as they're battling over each other. So now on to the final lap of the race. The leader of this race is Miklos Gau. As there he is just coming around into turn 1. Holst will not be able to catch him unless Gau makes a major mistake. And Gau's not got any traffic in front of him. And it's been a good race from Gau. The 3-stop did work, and he had the pace on Mackenzie after he overtook him before the first pit stop. He got comfortably ahead after the first set of stops, and he's retained that ever since. He had the threat of Joseph Willers on the 1 stop, but I think it was pretty obvious even after Willers had that gap in front, the Gau was going to close it because he had so much fresher tyres than him, and the Red Bull car is probably one of the best, is definitely one of the best on the grid. So I think it was pretty inevitable before Willers would have to succumb to the faster Red Bulls and McLarens, I should say. The Ferrari cars, as I say, just not particularly good this year. At least Waze Kuba will take a decent haul of points in P4, as there is Holst just coming on to the support pit straight now. But as Miklos Gau is heading towards the final few corners, he will take his first win of the season, and his first win for Red Bull, of course. He left McLaren. He was already frustrated at the start of last season with McLaren's poor strategy for the team, as McLaren has been known for their poor strategy. But it doesn't matter now, as Miklos Gau is set to come through the final corner. And as Miklos Gau does indeed come through the final corner, no problems here. And Miklos Gau, as he comes down the pit straight, Miklos Gau takes his first victory of the season and his first for Red Bull Racing. Congratulations to him, as Franco Gamba set to come home in P11. Viggo Holst set to come home in P2, so that's another second place for Holst. Not a win just yet. De Rossa comes home in 13th. Not a really good race for him, as Thompson just beats off Zachary Fitzwater for P15, as Mackenzie will take a very good podium for Lotus, as Roman Quagg will come across the line in P16. As he comes down the final corner, there is Kuba, who is right behind, as Quagg now comes across the line in P16. Kuba now in P4, and Volker will eventually come over the line in P5. Just not quite his race today, but he'll still finish in the point and still keep his championship lead. Wolf comes home, Adam Wolf comes home in P17, as Sean Grant comes home in 18th and last, as that is, I believe, actually not Alex Southgate, Felix Sontag, I should say, who is just behind us. So Sontag will come home and take 6th place. It's a good hold of points, I think you could say, probably, as he comes down the final corner, and Felix Sontag will take 6th place. Sean Grant comes home in 18th. Roland Moyton will take a good 7th place finish for Williams. But here comes Oliver Glazebrook, who's going to take Caterham's first point of the season and his first point in the OC. What a race! Despite having that collision earlier on with Sean Grant, it didn't matter in the end. He kept ahead of Rivki Farkazane, and he takes a point. But there is your race winner, Miguel Ascal, and that is the race over. What a race that was. Definitely glad the Bahrain Grand Prix is back. But here are the full race results. Miguel Ascal takes the win with Viggo Holst in 2nd place, Jay McKenzie 3rd, Wade Kuber in 4th, Florian Volker 5th, Felix Sontag 7th, Felix Sontag 6th, Roland Moyton 7th, Oliver Glazebrook 8th, with Rivki Farkazane 9th, and Almar Card 10th, with the following drivers a lap down: Franco Gamba, Alex Southgate, De Rossa, Thompson, Fitzwater, Quagg, Wolf, Grant, with Willow still being classified, but with Roke, Ionescu, Byrne not finishing this race or having accidents. And as we take a look at the fastest lap, unfortunately there was a bit of a bug in the fastest lap. As you can see, Evan Byrne apparently set the fastest lap of the race, where clearly he didn't. But as we look through, so it looks like that it was Volker that set the fastest lap of the race for Red Bull. So we just hopefully might be able to find out what the actual lap times were. But it was Volker ahead of Gal, then Holst in 3rd, Mackenzie in 4th, Kuba in 5th place. Fastest lap-wise, as Byrne obviously retired on the first lap, so he didn't even actually, I think, set a time at all. So we'll have a look to see how we can, if we can find out the times. And there it is, actually, there it is. So Volker fastest lap ahead of Gal in 2nd place, Holst 3rd, Mackenzie 4th, Kuba in 5th. But anyway, here are the drivers' standings. So Volker still has a lead, still has a fairly comfortable lead in the championship. Has a 6-point lead over Miguel Ascal in 2nd place, who's 5 points ahead of Holst. So Red Bull 1-2 with Evan Byrne 4th, 15. Mackenzie the same points with 15 and 5th. Alex Southgate with 12, with Roke, Kuba, and Sontag all on 8 points, 7th to 9th respectively. Kurosama De Rossa 10th with 4, Moyton 11th with 2, Frank Gamba 12th with 2, Sam Thompson and Oliver Glazebrook with 1, and Adam Wolf with 1 as well, with the following drivers not scoring any points: Rivki Farkazane, Robert Ionescu, Almar Carr, Zachary Fitzwater, Roman Quagg, Joseph Willows, and Sean Grant. In the constructor standings, Red Bull have a 22-point lead over McLaren, who in turn are 13 points ahead of Lotus, who are just 3 ahead of Mercedes in 4th, who are 12 points ahead of Ferrari, disappointingly in 5th. Force India 6th with 4, Williams 7th with 3, with Taurus on 3 as well, Caterham with 1 point with Sauber, and Mauritius scoring 0 points. Well, that has been a fantastic Bahrain Grand Prix, I have to say. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to, as usual, vote for your driver of the day and give the race a rating out of 10. So thanks very much for watching, everyone, and we will see you for the next round of the championship, the Spanish Grand Prix in Spain. And also, Happy New Year to everyone, as this, obviously, video will be uploaded on New Year's Eve. But a Happy New Year to everyone, and hopefully 2018 will be another fantastic year in the GP4 Offline Championship. Thanks for watching, and see you next year.